My name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. And in fact, over the past events, in the past few months, past year or so, maybe pivoting and changing this channel ever so slightly into a bit more investor, business-esque, and not just going into the entrepreneur field, but certainly pivoting and talking about more stuff further afield. Today I have with me Stuart Duncan, who is the CEO of a very interesting company, and a startup really in the crypto space, in the crypto sphere. And so I thought it'd be an interesting character to get on the show, talk about what he's doing, but most importantly, why. So please, Stuart Duncan, tell the world, who are you, what are you doing, and why you're doing it. Please.
Okay, so I'm the CEO of Vice Token Industries, or Vice Industry Token, and what we are is we're an adult cryptocurrency. I brought together a team of different companies. We've got about 36 different studios and companies now involved in our token. And what we're trying to be is, we've been watching the crypto space evolve, and we've seen quite a few number of tokens come out in pretending to be, I would say pretending to be adult tokens. Some of them, mostly, I haven't met anybody in any of these projects who come from our industry, actually. So these were all outsider projects. They were all what I call unicase projects, where they had maybe one token use and that was it. And what we're planning to do is, and I've been working for quite a while on our blockchain. We are using Graphene to build a companion to Steam. And I'm using my developers and my resources to build a token that actually incents people in an attention economy to earn tokens while viewing or watching television. That's what we're intending to do. That's the function of Graphene and Steam, and the Steam blockchain is a well-proven blockchain. I know Ned Scott. He and I have talked about our project. I was originally going to be a smart media token. We decided not to do that because Steam SMTs won't be out for a while yet. What I'm going to do, though, and Ned reached out to me last night on the Steam Smart Media Token Telegram, and I do want to get back to him because I think what we need to do is we need to work more closely with Steam and support the development that they're doing at the same time working in our development. We're all working in sort of an open source, right? So we're helping each other, and I've offered that help to him before. He was setting up his own team to do the smart media tokens, and now may be the time to get back in. I think I've got to have that discussion with Ned. I haven't had that discussion with Ned, but I think what I could do is I can take our team and work on their project as well as working on ours, because really we're a fork. We're a software fork of what they do. And the only reason why we didn't adopt the smart media token was because a certain percentage of people in their community didn't really want to be involved with an adult token. And then also because I felt that because we already had a working blockchain and could do what we wanted to do, it would do what we wanted it to accomplish, we should just go now. And we're pretty good at doing side stack development on blockchain. That's where we really excel as a developer group. So I wanted to do that. The other thing was in the Smart Media white paper, they talk about how they could possibly do certain things to tokenize certain things in their blockchain. I felt that if you're a developer, you're going to know what I'm saying here, that the smart media token is not an easy thing to implement, and that if you're working on a smart media token, it's going to take a lot of your resources to do so. So in essence, you can't avoid having developers. If you're incorporating a smart media token into your idea, you'll need a team anyway. So I felt that that was going to be a hard thing for Steam to manage. I didn't really feel that we needed managing in that sense. So what we did was we embarked on our own fork of the blockchain. And what I'm doing and going to be expending considerable resources on is building what I call integration teams that will go out and help adult businesses utilize our blockchain to monetize their websites. They're going to need to do that. They will, you know, let's talk honestly. Most webmasters don't have the resources to go out and develop a token for their blockchain. So what we're going to allow people to do is come in, white label with us, utilize the token, and we'll expend the resources in terms of developers and technicians to hook your website up to the blockchain. And we can do that over and over again. Anybody that needs to work in an attention economy and try and get their business tokenized, they should probably be calling us, you know, in the future.
Yeah, it's fascinating, smart media token. I had a guest on a previous podcast a few months ago, I can't remember now. He was talking and advocating smart media token, as well as he was advocating the proof of
brain.
Well, in the white paper you've got, proof of brain, but also proof of stake, and then also things like delegated proof of stake. And it's a fascinating industry and what's happening, and just started digging into the history behind it and the cypherpunk movement. Fascinating world, and I read the white paper. That integration team, that's something that's very fascinating to talk about. Please.
Yeah, we don't think what we're going to do is we're not, you know, I don't like the idea, you know, I think Steam for some people, a lot of people understand it and then they have trouble explaining it. And, you know, you're playing with three components in Steam. You're playing with, you know, you're playing with Steam Power, you're playing with Steam dollars, and, you know, people get all hung up with that and they don't know, you know, really how to explain it very well. What we're going to be doing in our blockchain is doing away with the dollars approach. We're not going to be doing that. So we're going to have Vice, what I call VIT, and we're going to have Vice Power. So the proof of stake in ours is going to come from the power, and then the proof of brain and all the other algorithms on the blockchain are going to feed the Vice industry token, the actual token that the people are earning. So we've got, here's the way it works, because I had some people coming on from Europe who are in the adult space, and they understand cryptocurrency a little bit, and they thought that what we were doing was like what some hackers are doing with script mining, Monero. when you go into you go and join somebody's website and you turn on a script and you start mining Monero for them. Thank you very much.
Cryptojacking.
Yeah, you know, exactly. What we said was, when a user comes to our blockchain to a website that's VIT powered, Vice Industry Token powered, what they do is they engage the blockchain, and they actually do start, they engage a mining process, right? So we're paying them for their viewer attention. The owner of the programming's getting paid and whatnot. And people are saying, well, where's the money coming from? Where is the actual, you know, is there cash coming in to generate these tokens? And it's like, I've spent so many hours explaining, you know, I can go back and I can explain what money is to people and how money is created. And, you know, it's an entirely different thing than, you know, what is a blockchain? When you and I would engage a mountain of ant miners to create Bitcoin, people would say, well, you know, where's the money being invested? Well, the money's being invested in the operation of the hashing sequence, right? So it's being expended in energy and things like that to create tokens. With ours, where the energy is coming from the viewer. The viewer actually turns on or powers the blockchain. We've got it set up so that if you're simply doing, you're simply owning a lot of Vice industry tokens, like you're a whale, you don't necessarily reap the benefit of our ecosystem, unlike Steam, unless you're actually operating in the blockchain. You've got to be actually engaged in operating in the blockchain and turning on all segments. So you have to have, like, for example, you have to have all cylinders firing, or you're not getting the token creation that we need in ours. So a viewer is going to be getting paid a portion. The blockchain, us, you know, because we need to maintain the blockchain, we'll be earning Vice tokens as well for operation of the blockchain. But, you know, advertisers can be paid in our ecosystem. And, you know, what I'm doing right now is I'm working on specific use cases so people can understand how tokens and how the whole ecosystem works, because that's the biggest problem that I have. So I'm going to be adding that to the white paper fairly soon. I don't know what else to say, only that they cover that off to a certain degree in the Steam Smart Media Token white paper. And I don't know if you've read it, but if you go in and you look at the specific use cases in there, they're quite confusing, because, you know, there's a lot of programming code, and to be quite honest, some of it doesn't really explain or work the problem through. So, you know, that's a problem. And that highlighted to me how difficult that whole process was. So what I need to do is I just need to simply be able to explain to a layperson who would be coming in and using the tokens how you're going to engage a blockchain, how you will earn tokens from your interaction with our attention economy token, and how it works in the ecosystem. I've just got to explain it better than we've probably done in the white paper, but it's not impossible. I mean, I understand it clearly, but I'm going to lay it out in black and white on paper so people understand it.
That's cool. That's a good idea. You want to be clear, not clever. As a quick side note, I remember when Steam it was first launched, people thought it was a Ponzi scheme, and it's like, even if it, from a pragmatic sense, even if it is, it doesn't matter, because you can create content and interact on the platform for free. So you're not putting no initial investment apart from the content you create, like this podcast, and share it on there, and that, you know, whatever happens, happens. There's no upfront cost.
Yeah, you know, people aren't used to the concept of Steam. I thought, when I originally looked at Steam, I thought it was a great way to engage more people and engage a segment. You know, you're actually having users on your platform, right? It's a totally different from a Litecoin or a Bitcoin, where the only engagement you've got is from miners. And so, you know, you look at it in really simple terms. What do? We turn the viewer into a miner. And, you know, we're building proof of brain, proof of stake, proof of work. And, you know, I could argue that there's other proof of statements that we could make about the way that we're building our blockchain. But even though Steam's out and it's a reliable working platform and it's gotten to be a lot more solid, people are still having a hard time understanding how it works.
So please explain how the Vice platform will work. Is it like Steam? There's different tags, and you consume, upvote and comment and share, or is it like DTube, where there's like a quasi YouTube platform, or how's it going to work?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You know, let's talk about DTube for a moment. Those are some people that we talked to before we started getting into our token creation. I've got to get back to the fellow. I think his name is Christian over there, and he's living in France, I think. You know, he and I had a long and lengthy discussion on how we could work together. I think what I need to do is I need to engage him in some of the development that we're doing, because what we're doing is what he wants to do. And of course, we're using Steam, right? We're using the Steam blockchain. But what we're doing is we're engaging video viewers. So in that sense, there are some things that we have to do differently on our side stack application, so we can monetize if you want to call it that. I call it tokenizing. Some people call it monetizing. I call it tokenizing our blockchain. But yeah, we will be using likes. We will be using the same mechanisms and procedures that are used in Steam to reward people using our attention token. And, you know, getting back to what we talked about at the beginning of the discussion, I think that what I need to do is I need to work closer with the Steam development community, primarily Ned Scott, and see where he wants us to plug in with him and carry on and help with some of the development that he needs to do. Because really, you know, I'm airdropping 400 million tokens to Steam holders. I mean, I'm dropping a significant portion of my blockchain to these people from day one. So I not only need consensus or some approval in the Steam community, I feel I do. I need to be able to help the Steam community develop as well. So, you know, I think what we'll do is we'll reach out and see if we can help them as well.
Yeah, so tell me more about this proof of brain you talked about. Could you elaborate on that? And what does that mean exactly?
Well, in an attention economy, proof of brain comes primarily from what do you want. You know, I'm speaking about proof of brain now, not from a blogging perspective, but from a video viewer perspective. What do I want to see presented to me that has value to me, that will cause me to want to engage with your blockchain? Proof of brain in that sense is people are only going to engage with my cryptocurrency if I'm giving them what they want to watch. You know, like I'm primarily a video view platform. So I've got to give them what they want. And then what they'll do is they'll be making decisions and making comments, and they'll be scoring videos. They'll also be, you know, in a sense that we're going to allow community and social networking inside our platform. They're going to be engaging in, you know, I think groups. I mean, we will have, like you have in Facebook, we'll have subgroups forming within the Vice Industry Token community, and those people are going to be driving some viewership. So they'll be creating their own ecosystems, and they'll be able to get, you know, paid for, you know, they'll be able to curate even in a sense, or even develop programming, and, you know, it'll all be based on whatever it is they're liking or wanting or scoring up, or you know, even buying, you know, because the token itself is going to be used inside the community. So that sort of falls outside of proof of brain, but they'll be able to use the what I call the Vitcoin, or the Vice Industry Token. We're just really, you know, talking about it so much now, we call it VIT, VIT. They're going to be using that VIT to buy products from each other. All of the partner websites have to accept it as a payment inside our platform, and we're adding more and more to it. But getting back to proof of brain specifically, we follow exactly along the same mechanism that is presented in the Smart Media Token white paper by Steam. Only we will help people build those tools and implement them in, you know, we will have the tools already built. We'll just simply have to engage people's tube sites, for example, to allow these proof of brain things to work. A lot of people have it already in their websites. You've probably seen it for years now, where you've seen upvote, get involved, do you like it or not, you know, comment sections and things like that. Anywhere where we engage the viewer's brain, that's what I call proof of brain.
Initially, I was thinking it's like proof of attention or proof of watch time, like quasi kind of way of.
Yeah, well, we call it an attention economy token because, you know, I said this to the other day. I had an interview on, with this fellow named Supperman from the UK, and we were talking about it. And what I want to do, or what I told him we were going to do, was we were going to engage, and I'm not sure his viewers really understood or liked what I was saying, but I explained to them how we were going to, you know, incent people with tokens for a proof of brain. But I'm not, you know, we had really bad audio, and, you know, a certain portion of his audience didn't like the adult industry. I don't know that that answers your question directly.
Well, I was also thinking, just a comment really, but well, I was also thinking that you kind of tokenizing the concept of 1,000 true fans.
I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat it?
It kind of sounds like you're tokenizing the concept of the 1,000 true fans.
1,000. We're tokenizing the concept of 1,000 true fans. Is
Yeah,
what I heard.
in terms, yeah, that's right. In terms of you're monetizing, so to speak.
Well, you know, here's what we do in the adult industry already. When you come into a tube site that I'm engaged in, and I certainly have my own as well, we gather so many metrics on you from the moment you get inside that website, and then we know where you go, we know where you come from, we know where you go after, and we can follow you around for a while. I hate to say it, but you know, that's the way the industry was built, right? And the tools that were built in the adult industry are probably the envy of the people that are out there touting artificial intelligence, right? It's not, there's no real, I mean, I'll throw this up there. There's no real artificial intelligence. There's a lot of really smart machine algorithms, and we know how to build these side stack applications, so we know exactly where you're going to, where you're coming from, what you like, and we can track your history, you know, as a user. And then we don't really do this now in the adult industry, but we're going to be able to in the future serve up content that you like. We'll find content that you like. And I don't think that we're going to need to do this through having a Siri-like assistant that can help you in your search. We're just going to do it with a smart machine algorithm and give you the choices of, you know, here's content that we found that you might like, and in the genres or in the categories that you like, this is the new content we think you might like. We're going to serve it all up. And the thing is, you know, that sort of happens already in a rudimentary sense, but we're going to sort of put that on steroids and offer it to people. You know, because you know what I need in an attention economy? I need people engaged constantly. So people would say, well, that's a bad thing. You know, you're going to be involved with adult content 24 hours a day. And sure, that would be nice, but you know, I don't really expect that's going to happen. And we think what we're going to do is we're going to get engagements from our viewers at least once to twice a day on average. And that could potentially generate a lot of value for a viewer over what they get now, which is nothing.
Yeah, interesting mention that essentially the retargeting. In my book that I wrote a few months ago, I talked about how trust these days in an attention economy is number one. How are you going about building trust on the user base in terms of privacy, in terms of the way to cash out, in terms of not accidentally sharing stuff on Facebook, for example?
Well, we're not going to allow people, we're not going to have Facebook shares or anything like that. That doesn't work on our website. I'm not planning on having people, you know, like this on Twitter. You know, we're not going to be feeding it that way. And you know, but you know, and it might hurt us, but I don't see us having our own version of Twitter inside our platform. But you know, when you really look at it, you know, these platforms could all tokenize themselves for an attention economy, right? Like there's nothing stopping any of them from doing this for anybody. You know, what we're planning on doing is really our own thing. So, but attention is easy for us to get. I mean, you know, our content, okay, I said this too the other day. I had a meeting about 5 years ago or 4 years ago now, and there was, we were a bunch of guys looking at putting adult on a stick that would sit in the back of your computer, and it would access sites. And we, of course, weren't thinking of tokenizing it at that time. But what we were talking about doing was hosting a bunch of free or tube sites that people could, just connect to off a PC, and then they could go around, they could browse. And then there were some pay sites in there as well. There was no incentive or anything. And I was suspicious, like if we were going to be working with these groups of people, and Comcast certainly want to lend themselves to an adult project, but this was more like a stick that you put it back of your computer. And it wasn't even popular then. And I think it's sort of come and gone for that technology. But I asked the guy, I said, how busy is your network? Like I was asking network questions, and he said, Netflix is 30% of our bandwidth on Friday and Saturday night in the Comcast internet network across the United States. And I said, that's a lot. And I said, how much is adult? And because I knew that they knew, because we know what we do when we're operating within our network and on our bandwidth. And he whispered to me, he said, it's 46%. And I said, 46%? I thought to myself, so Netflix and adult comprise 76% of the network traffic on the Comcast internet network on a Friday and a Saturday night 5 years ago. I wonder what it is today.
I see.
I don't have statistics today, I don't know.
You'll be collecting your own statistics now with the VIT.
Yeah, it's a bit different now. What we do is, we'll be collecting the only information that we're going to collect, and get back to the privacy issue. I don't see privacy really as being an issue. I don't think adult is 46% of the global network traffic on the internet, but it's got to be significant. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, I could figure it out. I don't know. We could probably Google it up somewhere, but would you reckon it might be 10% of the global traffic? I would reckon that 10% of the global traffic is adult related would be a pretty easy statistic to argue, 10%. That one person out of every 10 people on the internet might have seen or been on an adult website at some point in time.
I remember reading a statistic. Every second, there's 35,000 people.
Yeah, logged on. I mean, in the somewhere, I put together I put together some statistics on video not long ago, and you remember the Kim Kardashian video that was pumped all over the internet for years and years and years now?
Was this like...
Pardon?
Was this like 7-8 years ago?
Yeah, that video still gets looked at. Right now, somebody's logging on, and I can't remember how many people it is each minute log on to see that video. But that video has had hundreds of millions of views, and it continues, So I think that adult is probably the most highly scored on the internet, and I think that everything else is a trend. Porn is not a trend. Mm-hmm. Porn is one of the things that people use the internet for. The internet is for porn. It's for other things too.
Oh yeah,
but
I've heard that.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things, but what did Rihanna do last night, and what's Beyonce doing? Yeah, there's a certain amount of all of that stuff like that trending, but that's separate trends and what's going to be, because every trend has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it dies and it goes away. Mm-hmm. Where porn is not a trend. Porn feeds off one of a human's basic needs and desires, and that's pleasure. And if sex and an orgasm wasn't pleasurable, if it was painful, we wouldn't do it, and you and I wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, there's that classic saying that sex sells.
Well, it attracts people, right? It gets their attention. So, I mean, in that sense, what I'm doing is the perfect attention economy token. There isn't a better use for it in an attention economy.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So as we slowly wrap up, though, what do you see the future of it? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you see in the future?
Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to disrupt the existing business, obviously. But I think what's going to happen is what we do, what Steam started, and what we do is going to be eclipsed by something even bigger. And I think what's going to happen is people all over the world are going to start engaging in using Vice industry tokens, for example. And once it starts getting used and it gets being circulated and used in, I mean, we're talking about 1,000,000,003 people in China that are going to have access to the token, arguably. We're going to have over 1 billion people in India that have access to the token. People in Africa, people in South America, people everywhere globally are going to, it's not going to be just a European, UK, Canada, Australia, Japan thing, right? It's going to be mass adoption. So in the sense that Steam had 400,000 users since its inauguration, we think that we're going to have maybe as many as 1 billion users in our network, or certainly 10% of 7.5 billion users on the planet. So maybe you could argue 750 if 1 out of 10 wants to get access to it. And the internet continues to grow, and it continues to be ubiquitous. And smart phones, those prices are coming down, and the whole world's getting connected now. So I think what we're going to be is we're going to be in the sense of a crypto token, we're going to be a very popular one, because it'll be in use, and people are going to be looking to trade it, right? When you've got your token and you're almost 1 billion people using it, you're going to be looking for ways to use it, and we have plenty of ways for people to use it. So in that sense, it's going to have a lot of utility, and that utility is going to make it a valuable thing.
Yeah, I think I imagine it's quite popular. I imagine it's quite popular.
You know what? You and I we just met, and we might not agree on some things if we talk politics, but I think we can all agree that if a token is in use or being collected by 750 million users, if you can't see the practical utility in that, then I can't help you.
That's why I was fascinated in the white paper. You talk about integrating it in other businesses. So you're kind of essentially encouraging soft forks or other people adopting it for their own use case scenarios. That was incredible. That was.
You know what I think? I'm a bit of a, my politics are very libertarian, or I probably never would have been in the crypto space as long as I have been. But I can envision, and I'm not saying that Vice token or Vice industry tokens or VIT are going to be the thing that saves the world. But this whole idea of a burgeoning attention economy and my ability and 1,000 other people like me out there that will have, I invite them to call me. I've got a great development team. Call me. Let's share some ideas, and I'll help you with your business. I don't really care. I mean, for me personally, people come into this thing, and I've been involved in the crypto space for a while. Is this a scam and everything else? I've made money. I don't need more money. It's not about the money for me at this point. I've run a successful broadcasting business. I've got 5 cable channels operating. I'm operating in Canada and the United States. I've been in this business for a long, long time. I sold a business back in 1998 to New Frontier Media for $13 million. I became a member of their board back in 1998, retired out of that board situation in 2001. I mean, I've done it. I've made but you know what I realized? When I was looking at Steam, I thought, there's people out there in India that have a smartphone in their hands, but they've got a terrible economy. And there's people in Africa that have a smartphone in their hands and a terrible economy. And those places exist in a million other places around the world. we can give everybody a lift. I mean, this creates economy in a utility token, right? It creates an economy. And so I see things getting better. And when I see people, like I'm way out there now, right now, I'm way out there. But when I see people like various people, you know, they come out in and out of these global conferences saying that we might have to give people, tax people in an economy, so we pay people to not work, and the government will do that. I say to them, forget about that. We can do that with the blockchain.
Be more resourceful. But,
yeah.
but Stuart, it's getting very fascinating, but we've got to bring this to an end very soon.
Okay.
But what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Website?
I wake up in the morning now in my Telegram. I've got like 150 people wanting to get to me, and believe it or not, I'm able to get through all of that. And I know, you know, Brock Pierce, for example, he has people now that manage his social feed because he can't keep up with all the replies. And you know, maybe it'll get like that with me. And I think what I'll do is I'll probably create a website at some point where people can just feed through these things, and I can get people working on answers, and I'll be maybe more able to read through these things and give my answers, and then people can give them back.
That's
but
right.
People can contact me directly right now through the Vice Industry Token Telegram. I'm also reachable direct message through Telegram like you did. So that's not a problem, you know, but on my other social media, I won't reply on it because, you know, I have an awful lot of applications and things, and I just can't be expected to look everywhere and catch everybody's comment, you know.
That's all right. I'll include the details in the show notes below. But Stuart, it was great having you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. And ladies and gentlemen at home, if you haven't already, subscribe, because there's plenty more to come. Because this world is all about becoming and doing remarkable things with a life. How cool is that?
That is cool. Okay.